Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
Agencies have long struggled to manage so-called controlled unclassified information, or CUI. Now, artificial intelligence is posing new and urgent challenges to how agencies handle, share, and protect that sensitive information. But federal executives also see opportunities to use AI to modernize their approach to CUI. For more, Federal News Network's Justin Doubleday joins me now. Justin, thanks for being here.
Good to be with you, Terry.
Talk to us about how AI specifically threatens security and privacy when it comes to CUI data.
Yeah, so CUI obviously is just a blanket term for all that sensitive but non-classified federal information that agencies need to protect in some way. They can't just share it publicly or willy-nilly. The National Archives lists more than 125 categories of CUI, ranging from law enforcement data to patent applications and agricultural data. And so there's just a lot of it out there. And agencies have to protect this when they're sharing it on information systems. AI just makes that a lot more complicated for a couple different reasons. There's, of course, the threat that an agency employee could accidentally put CUI into a non-approved system, or even an approved system that somehow leaks that information into the open world. And so that's a very present concern. I think we've covered a bit here at Federal News Network. There's also the concern that even if an employee doesn't directly put CUI into a system sort of explicitly, the fact that these AI systems in the background can collate and bring together so much different information that 2 or 3 different pieces of completely unclassified information could add up to CUI, and the AI system could somehow share that where it shouldn't be shared. And so that's something that's certainly on the mind of folks at the Information Security Oversight Office, or ISOO, over at the National Archives. They have oversight of government-wide CUI policy. Michael Thomas is the director there, and he spoke a little bit about this issue that AI poses.
We're trying to advise agencies that a strategy of security through obscurity is increasingly difficult in a world where this mosaic effect that we've long worried about in intelligence circles, how information can be put together to create value for our enemies, it's no longer a threat or a worry. It's just the reality of what the tools today can do. And then we realize that unclassified information is being extensively targeted for just these reasons.
Justin, what is the Information Security Oversight Office, or ISOO as you called them, doing to help agencies address these kinds of challenges with AI and CUI?
First and foremost, ISOO just released some new guidance on this issue, both covering the use of artificial intelligence and CUI, as well as classified national security information. This guidance was released back on March 30th, so in the last couple of weeks, and no big surprises in it. It references, the fact that agencies are, rolling out AI very aggressively under this administration, and doesn't push back on that at all, just kind of points to different ways that agencies should think about different AI systems when it comes to, open AI systems that interact dynamically with kind of the open internet versus closed AI systems that include pre-trained models and are a little bit more protected, and then how agencies should really be thinking about putting CUI into those systems or not putting CUI into those systems. And so that's out there. And, ISOO, Michael Thomas, the director there, says this is something that the office is going to continue to be engaged with when it comes to agencies and the different reviews they do, the different conversations that they lead under different advisory councils. And so this is certainly something that small but important office is going to be focused on here for the next foreseeable future.
I imagine most folks don't have any trouble imagining the threats that we're speaking of here, but does ISO see any opportunities for AI to actually improve CUI management? Is there an upside?
Yes, that is certainly the case. It's a double-edged sword, as AI is in so many different cases. ISO sees this as really both an issue, a potential challenge, as well as a potential solution to some of the issues that agencies have had with just managing CUI, even before this recent wave of AI tools, generative AI tools, and things like that came on the scene several years ago, agencies had just struggled with the fact that they were creating so much CUI, so much data in their IT systems, and then figuring out how to share that properly, how to mark it properly. And so this is something where Thomas sees a lot of opportunity for AI to potentially help agencies in how they manage this really complex CUI issue.
With these tools, I think much of the friction that people experience right now in managing CUI, much of the why it isn't working, can be removed if these tools are well implemented. You know, a lot of the things that create points of resistance will become more automated in the process of gathering information. There's a lot of different use cases across agencies, but this is the sort of the double-edged sword of these tools, is that they're going to require some front-end thinking to make them work properly. But once they do, they're going to open up a lot of opportunity to get past some of the enduring challenges that we've had with these programs.
Does ISOO have any sort of action plan that might push agencies to improve their CUI practices?
Well, ISOO does annual reports, as every good government office does. They have annual reports that kind of summarize some of those challenges. And what they've found is that agencies have been moving toward implementing CUI policies, but that's been a challenge in and of itself. Only half of federal agencies have completed and implemented their CUI policy as of last summer, when ISOO released its latest annual report. And 3/4 of agencies have just begun acquiring the funding and resources needed to fully implement those programs. And so there's just an implementation challenge here when it comes to how agencies manage CUI and policy in the first place. But what ISOO plans to do this year, Thomas said, is actually do, instead of just kind of rounding up agency self-reported data, actually going in and doing reviews of agency CUI programs as part of the inspections that the office does of an agency's overall information program. And so, agencies can expect ISO to show up and actually start asking a lot more granular questions about their CUI programs this year under these inspection programs. That, Thomas says, could help ISOO really identify those pain points and where they can help enable agencies to better manage CUI going forward.
What are some of the bigger trends that you'll be watching for in CUI policy over the course of the year?
Big one for contractors specifically is a new federal acquisition regulation for CUI. This has been hanging out there for several years now in kind of a proposed form. Last year, the General Services Administration reported that the Office of Federal Procurement Policy had completed its review of the FAR CUI clause, and the rule was submitted to OMB's Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, going through that standard interagency review before being finalized. This clause will be a big one in how agencies implement CUI and kind of standardize that CUI framework, where both agencies and contractors, how they're supposed to protect that information going forward.
That's Federal News Network's Justin Doubleday. Justin, thanks for bringing us up to speed.
Thanks, Terry.
You can find his story at federalnewsnetwork.com.